Wazza, age and pronouns, please.
I'm 18, he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
Can I just say I have a stutter, but I don't really stutter much, but just in case.
Okay. Which prompt do you disagree with?
The prompt I disagree, men. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Men. I'm trying. Let me breathe. Men are not protectors.
Okay. Why are they not protectors?
See, there's so many people listening to me and like making fun of me in the comments. It's making me struggle. I'll lock in.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen anyone making fun of you.
Haley just said I'm sobbing. I don't appreciate that.
Oh, well, I heard you were vile to one of the moderators in the chat.
Me?
Yeah,
What did I do?
I can see the message. It says Wazza was vile to me in the chat.
What did I do?
Well, apparently that's what they've been telling me. So, do you think you can tell me what?
No, I have no clue. But people are saying I'm trolling because I have a stutter. So I'm not happy with that. I think that's ableist, isn't it?
It's what? Sorry.
Isn't that ableism?
What's ableism?
Ableism.
What's ableism?
Yeah, isn't that what they're doing to me?
I don't know what ableism is.
I thought it was like treating people with disabilities unfairly. I'm not
able.
trolling. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, how do you think men are protectors?
Oh, men are protectors because men.
It's okay. I'll let Staples respond. Hi, Staples.
Hello, hi Wazza. Do you not remember when you had to be dropped for being harmful, for victim blaming and not having any interest when we discussed about the harm women faced, and your response was simply, okay, when we talked about global femicide and all the harm?
Yeah, at that point I wasn't as educated on the topic, so that's why I wasn't really able to respond well, but now I've educated myself.
Okay. Yeah, that's perhaps why the chat think you might be a bit disingenuous, so I'll drop.
I'm a change man.
Okay, well, I'll leave Lex to, 44, she her anyway, I forgot to say, but I will drop, but just, yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate Staples. Thank you. Wazza, if you've been educated on that, then that's great. We don't really have a conversation here. So thank you for coming up. OSUK, age and pronouns, please.
Yo, I am 21. My pronouns are he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
Body count doesn't matter.
Okay, what did I say about it?
Yeah, so for me, personally, I have 0 bodies, first of all. I'll just clarify that. The reason it's important to me is I think it's all like quite belief-based, right? So some people are going to not think the body count matters and some people will. And I kind of wanted to give my viewpoint of why I think it does.
Okay.
So I am primarily in the dating market for a long-term partner. That's what I'm looking for, right? And if somebody at the same age as me, 21, for example, has a lot of, and they've just come to admitted to me that they have a lot of sexual history and they tell me their body count, and it's something that may seem alarming, like 25 or more, that simply just doesn't align with my values right away. I think that they've had a lot of sexual partners, whereas I'm looking for a monogamous relationship that's going to last years and years and years. So that's just like quite a red flag indicator to me.
You're assuming that someone who's had a body count of 25 can't maintain a monogamous relationship?
I think it demonstrates that they haven't up until now.
Sure. So if you met someone who's never been in a relationship before, would you then not want to be in a relationship with them as well?
If they've never been in a relationship, but sorry, they've got a high body count, is what you're saying?
No, they've just never been in a relationship before.
Yeah, then that would be okay.
But then that's not logically consistent, right? Because someone who's got a body count of 25 might not have been in a relationship either. That doesn't mean now they can't be monogamous to you.
But it's not about having a relationship. It's about maintaining a partnership and having just low sexual history. If I find somebody who's really, I want to be careful with my word here because I really am not a slut shamer. That's not what I do. But people that enjoy sex a lot are going to have more sexual history because it's something that they enjoy, right? And I'm completely for that. I believe that you can have agency of whatever you do with your life. But me personally, like my jurisdiction, I wouldn't want to be partnered with somebody with a lot of sexual history, because not only haven't, but it's not consistent with somebody who seeks long-term partnership.
Again, that's not true.
Why is that not true? Sorry.
Because someone who's never been in a relationship before could still be seeking long-term partnership, but just because they've never done it before doesn't mean they don't want that. Someone who's got a body count of 25 can still want a long-term relationship. If they meet you and they're getting to know you and they're like, actually, you know what, I can see myself settling down with this person.
Yeah.
So it's a reflection on their body count.
No, I agree with that point. That's consistent. Somebody can definitely have a lot of sexual partners and then want to essentially slow down. That's very realistic. I think I can meet you there, but I think the problem is it is a red flag, right? If it's one of the only things I know about somebody, it is a red flag.
That's you interpreting it as a red flag. It doesn't make it a red flag. Someone who's had schmex 25 times is entirely up to them. That doesn't mean they are less valuable or less worthy of a monogamous
I haven't brought value into this, though. It's just purely my belief.
I'm giving different examples, as in it doesn't make them less valuable or less worthy of a long-term relationship. It's got nothing to do with it. You feel a certain way hearing that number. You believe that's telling you something about them as an assumption. That doesn't make it true. So what I'm saying is you're projecting that belief onto them or their, lived experience. And that, if anything, is an insecurity.
I understand that viewpoint, but again, my age being 21, if I meet somebody who has an extraordinarily high number of sexual partners, it purely signals to me that they haven't been in long-term partnerships, or they are just going and sleeping with lots of people, which is their agency to do so. I don't want to inflict on anybody's life, right? But it's not consistent or doesn't align with my beliefs with having a long-term partner. So therefore, it just is a big red flag.
Yeah, on your projections from the insecurity.
I don't see how it's not an insecurity, though. It just demonstrates your sexual history to me.
Sexual history doesn't demonstrate whether you are capable of a monogamous relationship, though. That's the point. You're assuming.
No. I absolutely agree, but it's a very big indicator.
No, it's not. That's an assumption again. Someone could have a body count of 25 from the ages of like 17 to 20, and then they could have been in a relationship for a year and a half, and they broke out that relationship, and now they're looking for another relationship because they're over their previous partner.
Yeah.
So that doesn't signal that they can't be in a relationship, or it doesn't signal that they have they're not going to be compatible for you just because they've had schmex before in the past.
I absolutely agree. But to anchor this back to the prompt, right? I believe body count matters because it is an indicator of somebody who's had a lot of sexual partners. Because it literally is, right?
Yeah, again, that doesn't mean that the body count matters. It means your interpretation of what that means about that person matters to you. You are viewing the number as meaning something. And because it's a projection of something that's not factual, that's why it operates from the insecurity. Because you are looking at it as a way to go away from it and like move away, because as you described it, as a red flag, you're looking for warning signs that aren't necessarily there. So you believe it's there, but you're judging that person for a number. You haven't even got to know them properly yet.
I understand that, but so are you saying that isn't a good indicator whatsoever, and I'm just completely illogical for thinking that that's a good indicator? Is that what you're essentially saying?
Well, essentially, yeah, because it's a projection. So my point would be the opposite. Let's say that you are going on a date with someone, right? And you aren't allowed to ask them what their body count is.
Okay.
You're not allowed to know. They're not going to tell you.
Yeah, that's fine.
What things would you be looking for to know whether or not you can be compatible with someone?
Purely personality. Things like, is our humor consistent? Yeah. Do we enjoy the same things? Just basics, bro.
Sure. So let's say that you did meet someone and, you had a great sense of humor. You had similar interests. Maybe you even wanted to both have a similar future, i.e. like a family or something, whatever it might be. How long do you think it would take for you to then say, do you know what? There's a lot that I like about this person. Maybe feelings are starting to develop, or maybe we've already been slightly intimate. Like, how long would that take you?
Sorry, is that as in like we're going to be into a relationship now? Like, where are we? Sorry.
You've been dating long enough to say like what you know of this person now is leading you to want to be, seeing if this can be something like on a commitment level. So how long would that take roughly? Do you think?
I probably wouldn't jump into like a relationship of knowing somebody for a good like 6 months, I would say.
Okay, so 6 months has gone by. Maybe you can add another couple of months on top. This magical button appears in front of you, and if you press it, you will find out her body count. Do you press it?
Yes.
Okay, so for me, that part one of pressing it is the insecurity. Part two,
I
will explain, but like part two, what are you going to do if she tells you her body count was 40?
It would signal red flags to me, but that doesn't mean I'm going to rule her out. It's not black and white, It's just it's a red flag. That's all it is.
Okay, but my point is, if you know that answer,
yeah,
and you are not going to leave her, it's not that much of a red flag. So what conversation could you even have with her for you to feel comfortable in that dynamic now?
I think okay. I think a direct thing I can contrast this with is if she had the ability to press a button that had shown just how many partners I'd been with, right?
You're deflecting away from my hypothetical. Like,
Okay, no, sorry. I'll answer yours first.
I'm happy for you to respond with yours, but like I'm saying, I'm trying to follow through the consistency of the logic. But
Okay, yeah. No, sorry. Repeat one more time. I'll answer.
what conversation could you have that would allow you to now feel comfortable with that information?
Oh yeah, no, I just want to understand like her beliefs really. Like I'm not going to interrogate her about her sexual history. I don't think that's reasonable. I just want to know like so like where do you want to be in 5 years? Are you monogamous? Like basic questions like that. Like do I see her as a long term?
But you're already in a relationship with her. So this is the point, right? You're already in a relationship with her and you've known her for about 8 months. So suddenly now you feel like you need to ask questions that like where do you want to be in 5 years? You probably asked that earlier.
Right.
Like in 8
Sorry, I'm a misunderstanding. Okay,
But
so
that's the point I'm trying to make, right? Is like there's nothing really that you could hear that's probably going to make you feel more comfortable because essentially you've been knowing this person for 8 months now, enough to the point where you want to commit in a relationship with them.
if I know that she is committed to me and we are going to have a long term relationship, then that number no longer matters.
But would you not have already been in a relationship with her on the basis that you believe that about her anyway?
Yes, but what I'm saying is body count matters at the point where I wouldn't get into a relationship with somebody who has a scarily high number of bodies. You understand?
This is my point of the insecurity, right? Is you knowing that information first means you don't want to be with her. When you hear it second, you almost go, oh, well, I probably would carry on.
Because I know her intentions, right?
Yeah,
that's logical.
My point. But that's my point. Like her intentions were made clear to you without you knowing her body count. But if you did know the body count first, you now have been led to believe by yourself that those intentions aren't there now.
Because it's morally consistent, it's the pattern recognition of somebody with a very high body count is somebody that just really does enjoy sex and they are likely to have more sexual partners in the future. Yes, I'm going to correct myself. It's an assumption. I completely agree with that. But it is a logically consistent assumption. It really is.
Inconsistent. You're saying that, okay, I've given you 2 examples where the same person who has the same body count, the only thing that's different is you didn't know it at the start, and in the other one, you knew it 8 months later.
Yeah.
With the 8 months later, you would stay with her, but with the one where you knew it before, you wouldn't even entertain dating her.
Yes, because I know nothing about her personality whatsoever.
No, you know her body count. That's why you said you wouldn't know her.
Exactly. So if I knew the body count first and nothing else, okay, I would not pursue a relationship with that woman.
This is my point. This is why it's not logically consistent. Because in the situation where
you're giving me an edge case, right, where it's 8 months later, she's this amazing, wonderful woman, right?
Hold on. I didn't say she was an amazing, wonderful woman. She's an amazing woman. But the point is, in the first example, you dismissed wanting to get to know her because you knew her body count. In the other example, if you're not allowed to know the body count, you get to know her. My point is, if all of these behaviors and personality attributes that you think is linked to body count being high is going to be damaging or in some way not compatible for you, then you wouldn't be with her based on those things. That doesn't necessarily mean it's body count that's driving those things. So in the second example, when you say you would stay with her, it's because you formed a connection with her regardless of the information of body count. But you knowing that information first has made you go, I'm not interested. That's the insecurity. Because you basically don't want to see.
You can call it insecurity, but it's avoiding a red flag. It literally is.
I can't say that because in the other example where you didn't know it, you were staying with that red flag.
Yeah, because okay. In the first example, I'm given this information first, and I know nothing about the person. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so therefore, I'm pretty much told one thing that doesn't align with my beliefs. Would you agree with that? So therefore, I'm avoiding that. Okay, that's quite logically consistent. I'm avoiding something that doesn't align with my beliefs. Okay. In the second example, I've known this person and I'm talking to them and I understand a lot more about them and the things that they're telling me align with my beliefs. Okay. Then I find out something that doesn't. Well, I have a lot more to account for the fact, right?
Because you see them for a human being because you got to know them.
Yes. Yeah.
So in the first one, you're dehumanizing them.
No, I'm removing myself from a situation that has a higher likelihood of just not agreeing with me. It's
okay, so then in the second situation, why wouldn't you then leave her because that doesn't align with you?
Because I have a lot more to fall back on. I've learned a lot more about the person.
And that's my point. Like, I don't think you're seeing it. My point is that if you don't ask women their body count, you're getting to know them for the human being they are. If you need to know the information on body count, it's because of an insecurity. My view on body count is it's rooted in insecurities or misogyny. Sometimes
How is it rooted in misogyny though? If it goes both ways, like this isn't a male-only thing.
So the reason why is because if you go back in history, right, purity culture was always emphasized towards women. Okay, so women had no choice but to find a husband to have a certain type of lifestyle, let's say, right? Women didn't earn money in the ways where they could own property, etc. They weren't allowed to. So for them to like not stay at home forever, they had no choice but to find a husband. The best way they could find a husband was their fathers protecting their daughter's virtue by saying, you need to be pretty much a virgin, and then you're more likely to be chosen by a man.
Okay.
That was never placed as the same standard to men.
Okay.
Men didn't have to live by that. So it's always been rooted in misogyny because it always was gone against women. It's women's bodies that were always policed. So a woman now saying that towards a man is internalizing that misogyny and then projecting it onto him. It's still rooted in misogyny. It doesn't change anything. I would say the same thing to women. Like if they have an issue with a man's body count, it's internalized misogyny or insecurities. No different. But my point is that the body count isn't the issue. It's your interpretation of it. That's why I'm saying your insecurity or your misogyny matters. Misogyny would be, for example, you use the S slur.
So now we're debating over interpretation, right? Essentially,
not a debate. It's genuinely not a debate.
Okay, so just a conversation. You call it.
Yeah, because ultimately, like your interpretation on the body count, depending on the timing that you found out about the body count, changed.
Yeah.
So if it
I
was
mean,
consistent, you
I
would
can
have said-
completely agree. How we view body count and how we interpret it is different. Yeah, that's fine. I can meet you there.
So let's say
But
you have a woman with a body count of 30, and there's two
Yeah.
men in front of her. One of them is okay with that, and the other isn't. The body count is still the same. Nothing about the body count has changed, or there's nothing wrong about the body count itself.
Yeah,
But
okay.
one person's secure in not caring, and the other one, for some reason, feels like that's a problem.
Yeah.
So the interpretation from that person is triggering something in them to feel like that's an issue. The body count's not a problem. Your relationship with that body count,
I don't see it as an issue though. It's just saying no, right?
you do. You see it as a red flag. That's seeing it as an issue.
But that's okay. Okay. There's no like negative outlook to this though. It's like so your example of two people in front of that woman, right? One of them accepting, one of them not accepting of that.
Yeah.
It's not really a problem. It's just preference, right?
Preferences are rooted in something. Again, preferences, you have to go deeper. How have you come to the decision that a preference on someone with a low body count, when we've already established that asking or wanting a woman with a low body count is upholding misogyny based on purity culture? What's the reason for it?
But I uphold my own standard, right?
It doesn't matter that you say you've got a low body count. That's the equivalent to me saying that I hate apples and I hate bananas, but because I hate bananas, I don't hate apples anymore. You still hate the apple, right? It doesn't change anything just because you've applied it to the other gender in these two, gender examples.
No, I absolutely think that you should be able to set standards that you also uphold. I think that's a real thing.
Again, so, okay, standards, values, and preferences are just three words men hide behind, like to try and justify what it's rooted in.
That isn't what I'm doing, but I want you to explain
but
this.
when
Yeah.
you use those words, again, you need to go deeper. How did you come to the conclusion that you need to have a standard of being with a woman that has X body count?
Because to me, somebody with a very vast sexual history is somebody that is likely to want like a polyamorous relationship, or somebody that is like, and this is the word that I want you to pay attention to, likely, right? Therefore, it's signaling things that I don't align with, right?
Okay, so again, you can literally ask a woman, what type of relationship do you want? And if they say polyamorous, right, does that mean they have a high body count?
It definitely can do, yeah.
And it definitely could be the opposite.
Right, but if they're into polyamory, that literally is multiple partners, right?
Doesn't have to mean they're having schmecks with them.
Okay, sure, but we're just talking over like edge cases now. It's like if they want multiple partners, sex is a huge part of partnership.
But OS, you're the one operating off of ifs, maybes, assumptions, coulds, possible.
I'm basically risk managing if you think about it. I'm like, okay, this doesn't align with what I want, so
But you're assuming there is a risk there in the first place. That's the problem.
okay.
Like
I'm-
you're assuming that rather than thinking.
I think that's logical, and you think it isn't, so I don't know.
Well, there's nothing factual that backs it up to be logical. There's no studies out there or statistics that show any of this. Like nothing that shows body count is an issue. There's nothing out there. But let me bring Staples in. Staples wants to join the conversation. Hi,
No
Staples.
worries.
Hello, 44 she, her. So I'm just wondering, guest, like when you make these unilateral decisions based on what you presume about people, also just to acknowledge saying you don't shame people, you're still upholding that by saying those words, just to clarify that one. But who do you think you're harming just in your mind when you make a decision unilaterally like that?
Who do I think I'm harming? Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, presumably only the partner, but I wouldn't even say I would be harming them. I don't.
Well, no, in reality, you're potentially harming your own future.
How so?
So by making a presumption about the person, you're essentially writing off someone that could be absolutely perfect for you in every way, but because they've decided they enjoy schmecks at various points in their life, you've decided that makes them incompatible right now in that moment. And the only basis for that is that they've enjoyed having schmecks consensually. So I'm a bit confused as to why you think it would make them unfaithful. Like, when my body count was quite high when I was younger, I met my husband. I was just having fun. I didn't meet anyone that I wanted to pursue anything with further, but the OGAP for women, many more things like that. And then when I met someone that I wanted to have a life with, that's when I committed to that person. That doesn't mean I'm then interested in an open relationship or anything like that. It just means I was allowed and entitled to have fun consensually in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, I began my point saying that everybody has agency over their own life. I believe that if, like, I don't know what you'd say, like, if this person, right, like hypothetically, had been, having multiple sexual partners and then they want to settle down, like, that's completely fine, but it's just not what I want for my own life. I want somebody who wants to settle down from the beginning. You understand? So it's
I did. I met my partner, my husband, and when I met him, I instantly had something with him that I'd not had with anybody else. And we're now 20 odd years down the line with children, a whole life. Had he made a decision like you did, that because mine was body count, he's 5 years older than me, and mine was significantly higher than him, my body count, if he'd have just decided, no, he wouldn't have the life, me neither, but he wouldn't have the life he has now that's full of a whole thing. And by just being so blinkered to the opportunity to someone being a fully rounded human just because they enjoy smacks, you're potentially stopping yourself from having a future with someone that could be the most compatible person in the world for you.
Yeah. Okay. I understand your point. Like, it's cutting off opportunity, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, and would you potentially do that in any other metric or thing? I understand there's some things that are non-negotiables, like you mentioned about wanting the same things in the future. People obviously want, do they want to settle down? Do you want children? Do you want to travel? Do you have similar beliefs? But
Yeah.
beyond that, what other thing in someone's life in a partner, would you just be that like binary about?
Well, it's very difficult to say on the spot, but it's just like what they believe in, right? I think it's very broad. Like, if your partner sits down and tells you, "I believe in this," and that is fundamentally different than what you believe in, it's a huge turnoff, right? Like, it's just like whoa, okay.
But it's based in, as Lex said, it's based in a system that was meant to make women a commodity, essentially, at the time. Like, schmogenity was a commodity. That's where it comes from. So this belief that someone is better because they preserved that.
I haven't reinstated that, though. I think that's coming from like tradition, but I don't believe that I'm better than anybody else. That's never been my standpoint.
No, but there's a hangover from it, isn't there?
Meaning?
As in, because that was a popular systemic belief for generations until not that long ago. Bearing in mind, adultery is still illegal in many countries. To have schmecks outside of marriage is illegal in many countries. You have to understand that that's what women are essentially shamed for. And obviously I'm talking about this in quite a heteronormative way, but I was basing that on my experience. But you have to recognize that it's all tied into if someone was a valuable person to give away in historically, and whether you realize it or not, you're still upholding that because you're still saying that's important.
I think I can come to the midpoint here and agree that I'm upholding it, but I think the issue comes with the fact that that's a toxic ideology, because I really don't believe it is. If I uphold my own standard, meaning I'm not seeking casual sex, I am not engaging in short-term partnerships that are sex-centered, right? I'm purely focused on the long-term goal of a long-term partnership. Is this a toxic thing? I don't believe it is.
You've acknowledged that you're upholding something that was a misogynistic system, which is therefore inherently unfair to one group of people. And in what way would you agree that upholding something oppressive is good in any other way?
But sorry, who am I oppressing? Because I'm just choosing my candidates in the dating market, right?
Candidates is a bit of a bold choice.
Okay, I mean, we can nitpick over the words I use, or we can just
Well,
have
no, it's demeaning in the same way that using like smut shaming was, or a women's value.
Okay.
I think it's you're not realizing that these words have connotations and values, and it's not to shame you, it's to tell you that those words are harmful. You're furthering those things by without even knowing. Potentially, if someone hears you say that, they're going to repeat that, a younger sibling or a friend, and this is how it then becomes reinforced societally.
Okay, I just think, like, fundamentally, right, if it's a case of me getting to know different women and there is one that I just agree with the most, the one with a low body count and the one that is seeking long-term partnership, and she may be religious, I'm agnostic, I don't want to bring religion into this, but for the sake of this, I will. If she's like religious and therefore she's seeking long-term partnership and she's waiting till marriage, these are things that all match my values and beliefs, right? And so the next person I may speak to, not having those same values, obviously I'm not going to be as attracted to them. And we can circle around the point that body count is toxic, but when you use me as a case study, as an example, do you think I'm a toxic man? Because I don't think that's toxic at all.
I wouldn't try centering yourself in that way, to be honest. It's not about you being a toxic man. It's just recognizing the ways that your wording and beliefs are upholding, as Staples said, a system that is founded on misogyny. Let me bring Kitty in, if that's okay. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, Kitty 42, she, her. I'll say it, it's toxic behaviour, absolutely. Anyway, Guess, do you understand what consent is, and do you respect it in other spaces online that you go into?
Absolutely.
Because apparently in Dinedo's live, you've been quite disrespectful and don't appear to understand what consent is.
I think it just became, people were talking over each other, and I was just the quietest voice, unfortunately. But
well, Dinedo hosts very similar lives frequently, and I'm sure you're familiar with that space by the sounds of it. And apparently you're quite disrespectful when she did offer you free education and emotional labour.
I think it's just a case of agreeing to disagree. I don't seek arguments. I don't seek confrontation. I really don't.
See, this is one of the things which is also upholding misogyny as well, that we often have people in these spaces, men who come up on the panels and are lovely to legs and very respectful, but then often what happens that we do see in other women and femme-presenting people's spaces who host these lives, they're completely the opposite. They're rude, they're disrespectful, they talk over, they interrupt, they're very demeaning and invalidating. But the lovely Dinedo is here herself, so I'm sure she'll completely update us exactly and confirm what
I was just
happened.
wondering how consent could be an agree to disagree.
I get your age and pronouns, Dinedo, sorry.
Yeah, 39, she, her.
OS, question.
Sorry, was that a question directed to me?
Yeah.
Sorry, could you repeat? I wasn't listening.
How is consent an agree to disagree?
Sorry, did I say that?
You just said that. You said, I think it's a...
No, oh, sorry. I said agree to
when they were
disagree,
talking
that I
about
was
the
being
conversation we had
disrespectful.
in my space.
Okay. I think, look, on your live, it became a bit of a shouting contest. Where I agreed to disagree is that I was being disrespectful. In this live, and I hope that you guys uphold this, I've been very respectful. I've let you guys talk. I've given my points, and I've actually stayed quite quiet in between.
Just a point. So you're a guest in our space. We give you permission to talk here, but also why can you not conduct yourself in the same way in other panels as well, in other spaces?
That's what I'm saying. I believe I have.
No, you weren't.
I mean, I don't want to go in circles about this. If you don't like me as a person, that's fine.
You claimed that you understood what consent was. I gave you the opportunity to articulate it. You failed many times to articulate it. I held your hand and walked you through it. And then at the end, you said, yeah, I understood. I already knew all of that. Just because I'm unable to articulate what consent means doesn't mean I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's true. So
And
for viewers,
you were giving pushback on which ones?
so look, for the
Was it
viewers that weren't in your
enthusiasm that you
live,
didn't agree with?
sorry, you keep.
Was it enthusiasm that you didn't agree with? Which ones were you giving pushback?
Yeah, it was enthusiasm. I was going to give an example,
Yeah.
but we never got to that point because I kept getting talked over.
But
Right,
consent is not up for debate.
right. So I can't even give voice. I'm confused.
Why would you need to give pushback on enthusiastic consent?
It wasn't.
If
So
you
you
understand
asked me for one of the ones I disagreed with, right?
Why would you disagree with any of the aspects of consent?
But then you didn't give me a chance to follow up.
Why would consent be a gray area?
Okay. So I don't know. Should I stay on this live or should I
No,
talk to you?
I'm just
confused.
asking why you think consent would have a gray area.
Because if both parties are intoxicated and then they agree to
No, if
consensual
someone's
sex,
intoxicated, you cannot consent. We went over this, and you
But-
said you understood.
okay, yeah, but both parties, and then they
No.
both agree.
If someone is under the influence, they cannot consent.
Okay, but we can accept that there's a reality where
No.
couples are getting intoxicated and having sex consensually.
What does this have to do with enthusiasm? That has to do
Right.
with
So can I get to that without you
hold on,
interrupting?
hold on, because you don't understand consent, even though we walked you through it. So you disagree with multiple parameters of consent. You
I haven't
disagree
even
with
finished my
informed-
situation, and you're still.
Yes.
You're
stop,
not
please.
understanding. Hang tight. So you not only disagree with enthusiastic consent, you also now are disagreeing with informed consent, correct?
I'm not well informed to pinpoint which part of the
Oh, you're not
fries
well
analogy.
informed to know what consent is when you
I want to
said in
give.
my live
Listen,
that
you're
you
the expert,
understood it.
right? You're the
You
expert,
said,
correct?
hold on,
Yes.
no, you said that you understood it. We walked you through it. And now I'm going through two of the parameters that we spent 20, 30 minutes going over with you. And I'm asking you if that is correct, that you don't agree with informed consent and you don't agree with enthusiastic
You're
consent. And now
rushing
you're
me
saying
into.
that you're not well
You're
versed.
cornering me into a question. That's what you're doing.
No, I'm just pointing out that now you're claiming that you're not well versed to understand consent. If that's
Okay, look, I'm going to put this as plain English as I can. I want to explain to
Excuse
you
me?
a situation
Excuse me. No. Stop. What do you mean as plain English as possible?
because I haven't been able to articulate a situation. I haven't been able to.
No. That's vile, that's disrespectful, and that's rude. And there's a number. Why? This is misogyny.
What?
Okay, in fact, this is misogynoir because I believe there's
Wait.
microaggressions here. Right?
You
no,
didn't speak to me like you spoke to Donato.
Right, but I keep getting
Exactly.
interrupted, no?
No, I've done exactly the same as Staples, okay? Now stop. Why can you not? This is so
I apologise.
if you want to unpack your misogyny and your misogynoir, you have an opportunity here to be accountable.
I
Okay, a
apologise.
number of people a number of people share these spaces. Okay? Donedo
Yeah.
is a respected educator in these spaces. So why can you not, given it's been witnessed, you've been incredibly disrespectful, not just in Donedo's live, but also up on the panel here as well. This is an opportunity for you to unpack the misogyny and misogynoir. Okay? Rather than
Yeah.
doubling down, rather interrupting, rather than Donedo having to again give you more free emotional labour.
All right. Can I say the piece to Dana?
To who?
I've apologized multiple times now. So
Okay, why do you disagree with informed and enthusiastic consent?
okay. I wouldn't say I disagree per se, and I want to make myself extremely clear before, and I don't want to get interrupted while I say this. I think and I believe that there are scenarios where two people, and this happens in the real world, where they will have something to drink, or they may even do drugs, okay? And they will have sex, and they will both want sex, okay? The problem is, what if one of them then regrets sex? One of them. They were both consenting adults. And you can say that intoxication doesn't give consent, and I would partially agree with you, but this does happen. I think this is a very difficult situation to speak on.
You can't have partial consent when someone is under the influence. That's not a thing.
Okay, but my point is, articulating and understanding consent is a very nuanced and difficult thing. It really is. So when I give you situations like that, I want you to try and explain, was that person essentially sexually harassed, right?
No, it's not sexual harassment. That would be rape.
But how? How?
I went over this with you. Now you're saying that you're incapable of understanding what rape is?
No, okay. Can you refer to my example and explain to me?
Yes, if someone is under the influence, they cannot consent.
But they both did.
They're both intoxicated. Neither is able to give consent.
Okay.
You cannot
person goes
consent
to the
under
police and
influence.
say
Sorry,
If
Donato.
they didn't consent, they were under the influence, and you assaulted them, you would be on the line, OS. I don't know why you're trying to find a gray area or a loophole to not be accountable for your actions. And you still haven't explained why you're against enthusiastic consent.
So that situation directly talks about that, right? Enthusiastic consent. They could have been both enthusiastically consenting in that moment, regardless of the fact they're intoxicated, because this does happen.
The FRIES acronym, I went over this with you.
You're interrupting
in the
me.
beginning,
I
saying
want everybody
that
in the
all
panel to
5
realize
parameters,
he's
saying
interrupting.
that
Stop, guests. Stop.
saying that all 5 parameters have to be met for sex to be consensual. If you fuck up on any parameter, it's no longer consensual. And you've already given us pushback on 2 parameters. So you don't understand consent, and you're proving to be predatory as we're speaking now.
Okay, I don't believe that to be true. If both adult parties,
Legally, it is true. So.
but both adult parties are engaging in sexual activity, and it is intoxicated. This does happen. Agreed?
I think the difference is, OS, you're believing that because they're both intoxicated and automatically in a relationship, it means consent has been given.
No, whoa, I didn't make that assumption.
That's what you're saying, because every time Donato and Kitty have said back to you that consent has not been given when you're intoxicated, you keep saying, but this happens, so it must be because they said yes.
Okay, no.
Can you turn the chat off, please? Quickly. Thank you.
Okay. To make myself crystal clear, okay, I'm describing a scenario where 2 adults are intoxicated. Okay, they both are. And assumably, they've been intoxicated together, be it via drugs, drinking, whatever. This does happen. Adults are allowed to do these things, okay? Then they both enthusiastically, using that word, consent to sex. Even if they're incapable, they do.
You can't say if you're incapable and it's enthusiastic, then at the same time, that's contradictory. The point is...
But there's no coercion, right? There's no coercion.
Bro, you have to meet all 5 parameters. Coercion is under freely given. If you fuck up on any parameter, it's no longer consensual. You can't just say, because I met 1 parameter, who cares about the other 4? I got that 1, so that counts. I got 2 out of 5, that counts. 4 out of... No, you have to meet all 5 parameters, and you keep giving pushback to try to find a way for your predatory behavior.
I don't know why we're labeling me so quickly. That's kind of weird, no?
No, your behavior is being labeled, not you as an individual. It's predatory behavior to give the examples you're giving when what has been mentioned is freely given cannot be done while under the influence. That's not it being freely given.
Can we all accept that adults live in a world where this happens, right? Like, we are giving consent to each other, like 2 intoxicated adults will do drugs.
No,
or
what
alcohol.
you're describing, stop. You literally made the statement, incapable of. Okay? So what you're ultimately describing is grape.
But how? Because
Or
both
SC.
parties are in the same...
They can't give consent.
So,
It's as
so then
simple-
one
it's as simple
person...
as that. No, right, okay, we're going to
is a
stop.
victim.
We're going to stop. We're going to stop here because this is starting to get circular now. And also, please don't use the term weird because that is ableist terminology. Okay?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, was there something funny about that?
No, okay. No, I apologize.
Right. So, Staples,
Sorry,
I'm going to shush, yeah.
No, it's good. I was going to say, do you acknowledge, guest, you can't drive a car or sign a legal contract under the influence of anything?
Absolutely.
There we go then.
How does that link to consent? Sorry?
Because you can't consent to those things or do them under the influence of things.
Okay, but we accept that adults have sex under the influence.
If people drive under the influence, it doesn't make it legal.
but it's not illegal to have sex under the influence.
It is. It's called
You're
rape.
initiating sex with women who are under the influence. Legally, that is rape.
But
Yeah.
both parties in that moment want.
If you're initiating it and they go and report you, you're on the line. for
My
rape.
issue is there's regret,
OS,
right?
I could be
Stop.
blackout drunk and get in an accident and unalive someone, and I can't go in front of the judge and be like, well, I don't recall, I don't have memory of that, so I shouldn't be held accountable for my actions because I didn't realize what I was doing.
This
That's not how that works. Men that are under the influence assault women all the time.
Yeah.
You're not off the hook just because you took alcohol or drugs too. That's not how that works.
Winty for the Galaxy, Win, Donetto, Kitty, and Staples as well, all being up here. I don't know how else it could have been explained. I genuinely don't. I think the guest believes that even if both of them have agreed to doing something under the influence, that just removes consent. Removes the the reason for it not being consensual. I don't know.
I think in everything that was discussed, he acknowledged that they were harmful or upheld something and then carried on with but agreed to disagree. So it acknowledged the harm, but
And he
you know,
just put in the
declined.
chat, so regret equals victim. That's all he got out of this conversation.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donetto, for coming up as well. And I'm sorry they've been absolutely
Yeah.
vile in
Yeah,
your
thanks
space.
for having me up. I'll drop down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neda.
Thank you. Sorry, Donetto, for the obviously misogynoir.
Yeah. W all. And just let everyone take that in, right? Well, first of all, take a break if needed and hydrate. 3 women explaining. 3 women. Donetto, who's explained this multiple times in her space. Lex explaining. And still trying to justify it.
Thank you both, Kitty and Staples.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome, anyway, onwards.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's go to Leroy. Age and pronouns, please. Hello?
Hello.
Age and pronouns, please.
44 here.
Thank you. It's really quiet. I don't know if you're quite far away from your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's very quiet.
Okay. 2 seconds. Let's see.
Okay.
Is it any better?
I think it's because there's a lot of background noise.
Yeah. 2 seconds.
Come back in a bit when you've maybe, I don't know, the microphone might need to be connected in a different way. Mr. Age and pronouns, please, or Rf.
I didn't know what this is now. Oh shit, I've been added. Hello?
Hi, age and pronouns, please.
20, she and she, her.
Okay, I'm looking for men who disagree.
Yeah, but what if I'm a woman that disagrees?
Then you can ask it in the chat. That's absolutely fine. It does clearly say here, men only. Leroy, let's try again. Age and pronouns, please. Oh, sorry, you already said them. Connor, read. Like, read Connor. It literally says, hey, Leroy, I was going to say age and pronouns again. Which one do you disagree with?
Oh, sorry. Again, I should have read. I honestly just wanted to come up and say that guy that was just here there before with those 3 ladies. I just wanted to ask him a question: like, how many times has that happened for him? Where what he was explaining or trying to explain, how many times has that happened for him? Because it kind of sounds like he is in the culture of what women are trying to run away from. I don't know. That I just genuinely wanted to ask that question and say, how many times has that happened for him? Because it kind of just sounds like he's very much for that culture. I don't know.
No, I appreciate that, Leroy. But yeah, no, thank you.
Did not want to disagree, but yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you for that. Take care, buddy.
All right, cool.
Bye bye. And Josale, age and pronouns, please. Apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly.
He, him, 22.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to ask,
Are you driving at the moment?
no, my Wi-Fi is disconnecting though. Give me 1 second.
All right, come back when your internet's a bit better. I don't know what's going on. Hello? Okay, come back when it's maybe connected a bit better. For those of you that are wondering, which you wouldn't be because you wouldn't know what I'm about to say anyway, but if you are new here, welcome. And if you ever want to catch up on any of the lives, they all get uploaded to a different platform where you can watch them. Would appreciate if you could drop a follow there. Hopefully some people in the chat will put the link. I think we've got over 260 followers now. Jacksina, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you, Owen, and thank you, Ida. Drop a follow if you can. And the double live, was it double live yesterday? It was, there were 2 lives yesterday. But yeah, some of them, some 278, Claudine. Some of them very, very intense, some quite triggering. So please be aware that obviously, well, actually, I suppose in some ways you're able to skip it as well. So, oh my gosh, what on earth is this? Mikey, thank you for that. I genuinely didn't know what happened then. I just saw a load of pink on the screen. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, Kitty42 She/Her. Can you explain, please, once again, to any new people in the community, why it's men only on the panel and why there's only women and 10% in mods come up, or our lovely Darian, who's a mod who happens to be a man? Thank
Absolutely.
you.
So misogyny is a men's issue. It's for men to unpack amongst men rather than the emotional labor, which we just saw of women trying to educate men. It's something that men need to do. So this live is about speaking to men to unpack their misogyny. Obviously, there are femme-presenting and moderators that are women here who will come up to possibly share resources, statistics, studies, even personal experiences to also try and get the point across. So that's pretty much what this live is about.
Yeah, and also if any women and femme-presenting people are disagreeing with these prompts, that is demonstrating your internalized misogyny. And that's down to other women and femme-presenting people to help you unpack that or call it out or hold you accountable, which I'll happily do in the chat. Delightfully, bring it on.
Yeah, I would say men like myself calling out a woman's internalized misogyny and speaking to them about that would probably be misogynistic in itself.
And it's a disproportionate power imbalance as well.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kitty. Take care.
Welcome, bye.
Bye. Popstein, age and pronouns, please.
Hi, 25, male. Him,
Thank
he, him. There you go.
Which prompt do you disagree with?
Well, this is, to be fair, it's got to be the last one. So it's not that I disagree per se. I just want to preface something, right? I want to preface for saying this. I think no one, man or woman, should be able to have the right to tell their significant other what to wear, right? What I don't agree with necessarily is I just don't understand. I'm not sure if you're open to kind of elaborating, but I just don't understand the link between how somebody telling someone what to wear immediately escalates to the point where you're upholding rape culture. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so TikTok friendly language, great culture. Yes, so ask yourself why you think a man would ever need to tell a woman to change her clothes. Like, give me an example.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Give me 1 or 2 examples.
So I think deep-rooted insecurity, right? And they might just not like their women attracted attention, right? Or their partner, sorry. Yeah, attracted attention. And that extends also like, I know it's a different example, but, the same as, please don't post XYZ photos on social media in certain clothes. So it's the same thing, right?
So the insecurity of attracting attention by wearing certain clothing is misdirected insecurity, because
Okay.
aiming that insecurity at his partner when actually the problem he has is the men that are actually, either reaching out to her, approaching her, they're the issue. The men that are objectifying her are the issue. So him now projecting his insecurity on his partner is misdirected. And so men objectifying women is the misogyny. And so essentially what you're doing is you're basically saying, well, actually, let's ask, what type of attention are you saying that, women are going to get from men from that?
Just lustful attention. The type of lustful attention that would spark perhaps them, I don't know, trying to trying to talk to them, flirt with them, let's say,
But men do that regardless of what women are wearing.
Of course.
Okay,
But
so
I
what
don't know.
specifically is the behavior that you're worried about?
So again, like I said, fundamentally, me personally, I just want to say I would never tell my partner what to
Don't need
wear.
to repeat it. I just want to
Okay,
know,
cool.
I just want to know what that you think these men are potentially going to do to these women based on their clothing.
Absolutely. Sorry. It's you see how you asked the question that time around. It's just I'm being pedantic. When you say you, I just want to say it's not me. But anyways, sorry. Without getting around it. So very simple. I've got a lot of friends that are women, right? And whenever they post certain photos on their story, they'd say, and like you
You're
say
dancing
again.
around it. You're dancing around
No,
it.
wait. You asked me what.
Yeah, but it's very simple, right? What
Yeah,
behavior is it of men that you
yeah,
think
yeah,
is what's going to happen to women? That's all I want to know. I don't care about this online stuff. Just tell me
yeah.
the behavior of what men might do to women that you think could occur based on their clothing.
Yeah, okay. And then when I said to you, flirt, you said that happens regardless of what they're wearing.
Yeah.
The only thing that I was trying to follow up with is I'm saying the volume and quantity at which it happens, depending on what they see, it just differs. That's all it is. You're right, it does happen regardless of what they're wearing, absolutely, but it happens more.
That's an insecurity of the man then.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
But
reason it upholds grape culture
yeah,
is
please.
what you're essentially doing is you're saying to your partner, change
Mhm.
your clothing so it doesn't happen to you, but it happens to someone else.
Okay.
Right? Because essentially the issue is men's behavior. Now, flirting is not an issue. If you're flirting based on someone's clothing, then that's an issue, right? But ultimately, I would say that you trying to get your partner to change her clothing because of any potential other behaviors that could happen to her borders on victim blaming. And when
Yeah.
you are saying, like, make sure that you change your clothing, what you're actually saying is make sure that it doesn't happen to you, but it happens to someone else. And the reason that upholds grape culture is because you're not addressing men's behavior. You're trying to tell the victims how to do things differently to facilitate your insecurity.
Okay, so I understand now. So I guess would it be fair to say the last statement should read, if a man was to tell a lady, if a man was to tell his partner, and he shouldn't tell a partner what to wear at all under any circumstances, but if he were to, and if he was to specifically say, you wearing X clothes is going to more likely result in you being harassed, assaulted, etc. Then I agree 100%. Those type of men are upholding rape culture. I just think not every man that says that is upholding rape culture, if that makes sense. I think some just have.
Language, please say grape.
Second, sorry.
TikTok for any language, so please say grape.
Great. Oh, sorry. Apologies. Yeah. So I think those men are. I just don't think every person that tries to do that is upholding.
But if the
Yeah.
basis for it is that his insecurity lessens because less men are now approaching her,
Yeah.
you are still saying the problem is that men are approaching her, and the reason you're doing it is based on her clothing. And if you think that's the case, then that is basically enabling that misogyny to continue.
Okay.
Rather than saying, like, how about if you want your insecurity to change, you go up to men and start telling them not to view women like objects, rather than telling your partner what she should do differently. And the reason why this is quite, I would say, revealing, is because a lot of men will say things like, well, I can't control the things that men do. And it's like, well, if you're controlling, if you're saying you can't control what the things that men do, your only alternative option is to basically say, I can control what my partner maybe does. Otherwise, you wouldn't say I can't control what men do. That's the issue.
Okay, makes sense. Logical. I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. That's an interesting way to look at it. And I hope, like me, you welcome this chat because I never really saw that perspective before. Um, there's something you said where you said if a man was to approach a woman to flirt harmlessly or respectfully, let's say, that if he's doing it solely because of what she's wearing, it's problematic. Could you just explain why so? If I, and please correct me if I've misunderstood or misquoted you. Sorry.
Yeah, so why would you be judging someone off of their clothing? Like if you want
So
to flirt with someone and
yeah,
you're attracted to someone,
yeah,
then you'd be attracted to them, not the fabric, right? So
of
what is
course.
he insinuating about the fabric? Like, what is it about the clothing that makes you think, oh, like, you know,
Of course.
like that's the reason I want to flirt with you because of what you're wearing. What does that clothing tell you?
Cool. So I'll give you a perfect example, really. So some people like to go to the gym. They might like other people that have in shape. Let's say. So if you're wearing baggy clothing, it's harder to tell if someone's in shape or not. If you're wearing tighter clothing, you might see that the person's more in shape, more to your liking, if that makes sense. That you might be really into somebody's upper back if you're a really weird gym nerd, right? And you just want to see that. Second, sorry.
Let's not say weird because that's ableist.
Okay, sorry, my bad. You just might be really into, I don't know, someone's upper lats, and you want to see that. Would does that type of logic and thought process still constitute what you described? Does that make any sense?
Not really, because like essentially, like if men are going to flirt with women,
Yeah.
what you're saying they're flirting based on certain muscles that they see.
So your question was, what is it about the fabric on someone's wearing that makes
No, no,
you more?
no. But the comparison was you saying that depending on what she's wearing would increase more men flirting with her.
Of course, and then you
The
asked
situation
me.
that is that you
Uh-huh.
think you might be wearing more revealing clothes.
Um, it, wait, sorry. So can you repeat that last bit again?
Right, so
You
if
said
you're saying that what your partner might be wearing, you would want to change that because more men are going to flirt with her based on her clothing.
yeah.
Surely that's on the basis that what she's wearing is more revealing. Otherwise, why would more men want to flirt with her based on a dress that is no different to a different dress, but one would get more attention than the other?
Of
So
course,
what
of course.
is that based off?
Okay, so put it this way. I guess unless I've misunderstood, you're assuming that a change of clothes increasing in that results in an increase of attraction is solely because those clothes are revealing. What if
No,
is your name Lex,
not
right?
an increase in attraction. You said an increase in the amount of men flirting with her.
Okay, yeah, increasing the amount of approaches, flirtatious approaches. Yep. So Lex, if I can call you that. Basically, what if you have two women wearing two dresses and these dresses one's a lot more revealing than the other per se. Well, sorry, actually, I think I'm gonna before I even go down that road. When we talk about revealing, are we talking about solely skin showing, or does the tightness of whatever they're wearing count?
I'm talking about the example you give, where you
Yeah.
think there is a situation where your partner, whether that's hypothetical or whatever,
Yeah.
that you think it's okay for her to change because you think more men will approach her based on what she's wearing.
Of course, no. So what I'm asking is, if and I know this is gonna sound really dumb, but define revealing.
Don't say
Real quick.
dumb, that's also ableist.
Wait, don't say what, sorry?
I think you said that's going to sound dumb, and if you did, I'm saying that's also ableist. Don't say that.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm trying to demean myself in a way to kind of wait. How could I politely demean myself such that I can
You don't
ask
need
you?
to.
Okay, cool.
Just engage in the conversation authentically. It's fine. Like you don't
Okay,
need to.
fine.
You know, I'm just. Let's talk about what it is in these examples because
Cool.
I
Yeah.
feel like
So
yeah.
yeah, cool. So just real quick for me, please. Can you define revealing?
No, because that's subjective to many different people.
Cool, fine. I'll take that. So example given. Okay, that's perfect. So you asked what how can a sorry, I'm not going to repeat the question you asked because you know what you asked. But let's take somebody who likes women that are in shape. If a woman is wearing something very, very baggy, you might not be able to see her shape. If she's wearing something tight, you might be able to see her shape, and therefore you might be, or someone might be more inclined to approach her because they go, okay, with you know, the shape you're in, um, with the shape you're in, I can tell you work out, and I like people that work out. Hence, I want to approach you and talk to you in a way that's flirtatious. That doesn't make sense. And one day hopes to court you. Do you not think that's something that's going to result in more approaches, or do you think that's a far fetched statement?
I think what you're describing is objectification, but I'll hand over to Kitty. Hi, Kitty.
Hi, Kitty42, she, her. It doesn't matter what anyone's wearing. If men are going to objectify and approach women, femme-centered people, they're going to regardless. I'm saying this as someone who, anecdotal, trigger warning chat, it doesn't matter what I've been wearing. I was wearing a hospital gown and had 2 days post C-section, trying to stagger my way very slowly to go and see my child who was in the special baby care unit. And on that very long walk corridor, 2 men stopped me and were trying to flirt with me. This is what happens. It doesn't matter what we wear. It doesn't matter if we're fully clothed, no skin on show, wherever we are, whatever we're doing, men will objectify us regardless. And unfortunately, when we start going down this rhetoric of, well, yeah, if people wear particular clothing, they're in handsies or shapes thing in a particular way, then ultimately that's objectification. And then if something happens or a woman is harmed, one of the first things people ask is, what was she wearing? What was she doing? And then it becomes victim blaming rhetoric. We shouldn't be policing what anyone is wearing, because it's never about the clothing when it comes down to it.
And I'd just like to say, Katie, I'm sorry. Sorry, Lex.
No, I appreciate that.
No problem. Yeah, I just want to say, of course, I'm sorry. That anecdote's, heartbreaking to hear, and by no means do I condone any of that. And like, I said, I want to preface things like, towards the latter part of what you're saying, if anything ever does happen, like an assault, harassment of any degree, of any level, is unacceptable, regardless of what a lady/woman is wearing. 100%. I guess from your point of view, would you mind, please, just would you mind just defining objectification?
So objectifying is like viewing women as objects.
Well,
cool.
Yeah, or very much so. Which will include, shall I go TikTok friendly language, sexualizing them as well, viewing them as sex objects, only being interested in someone for what they're wearing, what they look like.
Pop, I'll give you an example as well, if that's okay. I literally did a video this evening, and the video I did this evening was of a man saying, to the women that are in the gym, you do know you can wear clothes, right? Like, it's not a competition to see who can wear the least amount of clothing. You are allowed to wear clothes. That's a video that I stitched because that's literally what a lot of men believe. They believe that women are going to gyms trying to wear as little clothing as possible for the objectification from men. And that's because men seem to think that that's something at the gym that's their business. It's their business that what women are wearing at the gym is something to comment on, something to look at. And it's like, if you're going to the gym, go and work out at the gym. Like, plain and simple. But the reason why I talk about what you say, Pop, with your responses is when you start trying to police what women are wearing, that's then putting this emphasis on, hold on a minute, if a woman wants to go to the gym and she's wearing whatever she's wearing and men have got an issue with that, it's only because men since the dawn of time have controlled women's bodies, policed them and told them what they should and shouldn't do, what they should and shouldn't wear, and they don't like it because they don't now have that control. And so what they do is they try to shame women through, like Kitty said, objectification, sexualizing them. That's what men end up doing now, rather than thinking to themselves, do you know what? Maybe that's what patriarchy has conditioned us to believe. And that's something we should unpack because we're upholding more and more harm to women and femme-presenting people by upholding that belief.
I see. And you said that's a video that's due to come out tonight, was it? Or has it already come out?
No, I already did it like about
Already,
2 hours ago, I think.
Mm.
But it's not like a huge video. I'm just saying that like it literally came up, and I was like thinking, yeah, here we go again. Like another man just trying to put the blame onto the victims, onto women
Mm,
for being objectified by men rather than focusing on their behavior.
of course, of course. That's interesting. That's good to know. And I'm glad you're raising awareness for these issues and educating the masses. Just real quick, with on the objectification notes,
Hmm.
and this is something that you know, and by all means, I'm not trying to do the women do it too card. So please, if it comes across that way, I promise you that's not what I'm trying to play. My question, it's funny. I feel like because I've prefaced it about that, and no matter what I say now,
Yeah.
it's always going to look that way, isn't it? Okay, fine, fair enough. Next time I won't do that. But cool. With objectification,
Okay.
if somebody, regardless of whether they're a man or woman, was to say, I like people of a certain shape, that shape being muscular or toned, does that count as objectification?
I think everyone can have their preferences and
Mhm.
who they're attracted to. It's how then people present with that behaviour, and if
Mhm.
they then act in such a particular way. We'll use a heteronormative example here. So if a man is then being, approaching a woman in a bar, making sexually inappropriate comments about her appearance, catcalling, things like that, that's when it's becoming objectification and harmful. And then that leads
Absolutely.
into things like, again, I'm using TikTok friendly language here, but like grape culture. So
Of
people
course.
can have preferences and attraction of who they're attracted to, but it's then how people,
How you go about it, right?
yes,
Of
very
course.
much so, how they present with that behaviours, and then uphold that in discussions perhaps with their friends, in terms of groups of men, maybe, if a woman walks past them, oh, look at her, and making very, objectifying comments about her.
Prerogative.
That's the word, thank you. That's when it's objectification and harmful.
And I think we also need to be careful when we tap into the difference between a preference and a requirement, which is something I think Darian's mentioned a few times when he's here as well, right? It's this premise of like, you can prefer someone, like you say, to maybe look a certain way, in that sense of like, you're talking about physicality, I suppose, in terms of that. But the difference is like, do you require someone to be like that? That's the difference, because when you're saying like clothing, if your main thing is I need someone to look a certain way, as opposed to I would prefer it, that's where the issue starts to creep in, because otherwise you're sort of like literally objectifying someone's body.
Okay, cool. I mean, hopefully I've taken everything you two have said and understood perfectly. So I think, Kitty, so I guess the argument that I'm trying to make is that effectively, if you have a scenario where a man says, I like women that are in shape, if he was let's say you have a group of men who like women that are in shape. If these group of men were to see a lady and she's in baggy clothing, and by the way, that's very important. In this example I'm giving, everything that's been done is respectful. There's no harassment, there's no catcalling, there's no none of that. Because if there is any of the inappropriate stuff, then regardless of what she's wearing, that's inappropriate, it's illegal, shouldn't be done, right? But let's say the interaction is actually respectful, right? If a girl's wearing baggy clothing and you can't see her physique too well, then it's like you're probably, when you do see her in clothes that complement her shape, and it's a shape that you like, you're more likely to or they might be more likely or more inclined to go and approach her. And they might approach her and then start a conversation. That conversation is a respectful conversation. She might say, I'm not interested. They walk away. Now, the argument I guess I've been trying to kind of illustrate and paint, and the picture I've been trying to paint from the beginning is, what if a man doesn't like the way his partner dresses because he's cognizant of the fact that she might get more respectful attention? It might just be a man, like I said, respectfully approaching her to flirt. She then says, "I've got a boyfriend, so it can't happen," and then he walks away. Does that make sense? Is that and I know I'm wrong. I still think that's insecure, and I still think he shouldn't police what she wears. But in that instance, does that still uphold rape culture? Does that make sense? That's my question, basically.
It's controlling behavior,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely,
it's
and
still
it
up.
should and it
It's
shouldn't be,
misog-
and it shouldn't happen.
Yeah, and it still upholds great culture. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Controlling is a part of that.
I
That's
also just want to say as well, when we're talking this space, if we refer to women, not girls, because girls are minors. So it's just again something to be mindful of when we're speaking.
apologies.
In
Did I
this
say
space. No,
girls
no,
there? Apologies.
yeah, no, it's fine. It's just something that we try to correct in this space as well.
Of course.
Okay.
Noted.
Okay.
Okay, no, yeah, no, that's good to know. That's good to know. To be honest, that's kind of all like I said. I mean, from the start of the call, I did say you can never police or try to tell someone what to wear. Like, and anything that happens, regardless of what a lady's wearing, that's inappropriate. It's inappropriate, right? It shouldn't be done. And I never tried to condone any of that. What I was just curious is for that proportion of men who, when they do this, they might not be consciously aware that they're upholding rape culture. I just wanted to know if what they're doing still does,
Yeah.
act-
It is, and if you're then aware of that now, you can then hold other men accountable if you hear them speaking about this.
Of course.
Or and that's where the education comes in, and starting to help other men unpack their misogyny, which then in turn is harm reduction for women and femme presenting people. So if you can use anything you feel you've learned here, to help you, unpack and learn more. And now if you can recognize those signs of other people upholding grape culture or having these type of discussions like that you recognize that subjectification and you can maybe understand a little bit more how that's harmful and why, then that's something you can have conversations with and call out, whether it be within your friend groups, whether it be at the gym, things like that, and have more in-depth discussions about it where possible.
Absolutely. Luckily, I don't think I've ever come across that. But if I ever do, I will be policing and enforcing what I've learned today. So no, thank you for that, guys.
No, appreciate that. Thank you so much for being respectful.
No, thank you for having me. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Take care,
Thank
Bob.
you. Take care. Thanks.
And thank you, Kitty, as well.
Thank you. Just two things. If I can remember the second thing, but the first thing is the ableism tonight has been vile. There's been so much ableism and repeat reminders that particular things are ableist, and then people continuing to do so. And what we don't do is, even if we suspect someone's being disingenuous in a space, we don't know that person. We still do not know. But by making comments saying they're not being genuine, that's not a real XYZ, whatever condition someone's identified or they're presenting as, by continuing to question it, even if we know. Okay? And remember, the mods are very aware of people who are trolls or otherwise. In this space, we do not uphold one oppressive system in an attempt to dismantle another. We don't do that. Okay? And Staples coming up earlier and challenging problematic behaviour that had happened on, a previous live, previous comments. That's the way to challenge it. That was the way to challenge the misogyny. Okay? We're not using ableism to fuel and try and dismantle another oppressive system. That's not how it works. It's as simple as that. Okay, so please don't. And if you keep doubling down, chat, if you keep doubling down, you're getting muted and you're getting blocked, because clearly this isn't the space for you at this point in time. All right? Just take the time. If this is a learning opportunity, it's never an attack. Okay, if you're getting held accountable for something like this, then please, please, just take the time to go and do a little bit of research. That's all. Anyway, I can't remember what the second thing was, so yeah, done. Bye.
Thanks, Kitty. Much love. Right, we are on apparently 280 followers, so if anybody does want to add to that, that would be amazing. I think we have hit maybe 5 alive or something, as we say. But this live obviously will be uploaded, which doesn't really matter because you're all here for it. Hey, so I don't know why I said that. Right, we have got time for one battle. Let's do it. We are on a win streak.